Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has finally happened. After nearly a decade, actually, maybe a little bit more than a decade now at this point. Well, yeah, actually, about 12, almost 13 years. Julius Malema, who has been at the forefront of racial division within this country. If you don't remember, Julius Malema was once part of the ANC. As a result of his incredibly violent rhetoric and racially divisive rhetoric, he sort of started to fall out with people within the ANC, as the ANC were still at that point trying to pretend like it was a party for everyone in South Africa. And as a result of this fallout, and yes, there were greed and all other sorts of things attached to that fallout, especially Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema broke away and he started the EFF. The EFF, from the beginning, made it very clear that they are a radical left wing communist party. And as part of this radical left wing communist agenda, they hate white people. Very specifically so. Now, Julius Malema, whenever he is asked, won't in that many words say that he hates white people, but he will say things like, I'm not calling for the death of white people, at least for now. He'll sing songs like Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, and then we, of course, are told, oh, but these are historical songs, and you should view them through some kind of historical lens. I don't care what those songs are, and the logic is so very skewed. Because if the argument is that these are historical songs, then the songs were sung historically for a reason, right? And at the time, the enemy, of course, was the Boer. The ANC were fighting the Afrikaner. They were fighting the English too, but never mind that, right? I guess that's why they say kill the Boer, kill the farmer, because they're killing both English and Afrikaans farmers. That was your enemy then. What you're fighting right now is the corrupt ANC. So why would you still be singing a struggle song calling for the death of Afrikaners when in reality your enemy is supposed to be the corrupt ANC? So the song is racist. It doesn't matter how you want to cut it. It doesn't matter how you want to slice it. And if you don't believe that it is, just supplement the words. If someone suddenly started coming out and saying, kill the K word, kill the K word, what would people in South Africa say? I doubt there would be a single person in South Africa that goes, well, the K word is historically a word that the white people used, and they were historically fighting the black people, so clearly this is just the struggle song for them. They adopted the struggle song from us. You should view that song through the context and the nuance and the historical lens that the song is. No one would argue that. Everyone would rightfully say, that is very racist. The hell are you doing? All we're asking for is that there's equal treatment within this country. Okay, so what happened was there's been a court case against Julius Malema for some time in the Western Cape Equality Court. And literally earlier today, the court found Julius Malema guilty of hate speech. Now, when you go through the actual story, you find that he's not been found guilty for Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, which the Constitutional Court years ago did say that the song is hate speech. And then more recently, I think this was a couple of years ago, the Constitutional Court found actually there's no problem there. Instead, this comes from after, I don't know if you guys remember the Brackenfell High School incident, where the EFF showed up in droves. Now, at the time, the case was brought by the South African Human Rights Commission, as well as an individual who said that he was personally threatened after Malema's statements. Malema said the following to the crowd in front of the school. He said, tell that white man to try me. I'll come many times here in Western Cape, appearing in a court case, because no white man is going to beat me up. And I call myself a revolutionary the following day. You must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. This, in the ruling, Judge Mark Scher found Malema had demonstrated a clear intention to incite harm and to promote or propagate hatred. Now, personally, I have a very different view of hate speech, right? I don't mind hate speech as much as other people do. I understand why some people draw the line at incitement to violence, because some people will say, well, you cannot incite violence against other groups. I am a bit more of a free speech absolutist insofar as my argument is if you're going to make laws, that those laws can only ever be justified if they actually solve a problem. Right? So if you're going to ban something, it has to be for a reason. If you're just going to say people aren't allowed to be racist because it hurts other people's feelings, that to me isn't good enough. Because fundamentally, you're not stopping the racism that causes the racist speech. Racist speech doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's born within the heart of racists. So when all of those red caps are standing there singing "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," every single one of them in their heart hates white people and wants to kill white people. That's why they're singing that song. Julius Malema looks at white people and wants to kill them. That's why he's singing that song. Racist speech only reveals what is in your heart. Banning the speech doesn't take away what's in your heart, right? You're still going to say those things. You're just no longer going to say it openly and publicly, which means I don't know who to blame when the racism is actually being showed in my country, where I prefer if people speak so that I can know they're all the racists. And I sort of feel the same way about incitement to violence. The only difference here would be if you're going to stand on a stage and sing "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," and someone from the EFF goes and kills a farmer or a Boer, then you are guilty because you did say to do it, and one of your supporters went out and did it. So then you get arrested for murder because you're the one who instructed your supporters to go and kill people. So I do think incitement to violence should be allowed, but if someone commits violence based on your incitement, you are to blame for said violence. Now, there could be more arguments about this. It doesn't matter. But okay, so the DA comes out with their own statement on this, issued by John Steenhuisen, the DA leader. And he says, the Democratic Alliance welcomes today's Western Cape Equality Court finding Julius Malema guilty of hate speech. And we commend the South African Human Rights Commission for pursuing this matter. This is a victory for the rule of law, for the Constitution, and for all South Africans who cherish the value and the values of a free, fair, and non-racial society. For too long, the world has watched as Julius Malema has incited violence, hatred, and division, attempting to unstitch the very fabric of South African society. His hate speech was most recently aired live from the White House in a meeting between President Donald Trump, President Ramaphosa, and a South African delegation. And I will remind you, Mr. Steenhuisen, that in that very meeting, you denied that it was even happening. You denied that farm murders was a particular problem. You denied that racism was a particular problem within the country. It's nice that you're now celebrating this, and this is definitely worthy of celebration, but you did deny that these things were happening when Cyril Ramaphosa was sitting right next to you, when you had the greatest of opportunities to stitch up this broken, spineless ANC for the incredible stuff that they do. So the DA goes on to basically praise this entire thing, and they are going to seek to get even harsher punishments against Julius Malema. See, the big problem here is that this is Malema's second time that he has been found guilty of hate speech in the country. The big issue is that the court effectively can order someone to pay a fine. They can order someone to simply apologize, which I think is what happened the first time he was found guilty of hate speech. Or they could send you to jail, but that I don't think will ever happen, because should they do that, they'll have a riot on their hands, and in a completely independent legislature and judicial system, sure, that would probably not matter, but in South Africa, that most likely does matter. I just hopefully there's harsh punishments on Julius Malema for this second time that he's been found guilty of hate speech. Look, as I said, I am a free speech absolutist, and personally, I think Julius Malema should be allowed to say whatever the hell he wants. What I hate is the double standard that we have in our country. If he is allowed to say whatever he wants and he basically just always gets off with a slap on the wrist, other people in South Africa should be allowed to say whatever the hell they want as well. If you guys don't remember, just earlier this week, a bunch of colored kids used the K word, and they're currently going after these kids with everything they've got. Right? Gayton McKenzie was found guilty by the South African Human Rights Commission for hate speech and hatred and racial division speech and all the rest of it within 24 hours of it being revealed that he once upon a time used the K word. So it really does feel like the Human Rights Commission moves a little faster for some people and some races in this country, whereas other races are effectively, if the Human Rights Commission even tries to do something with that case, it'll happen at an absolute crawl. And when it finally does happen, it's usually just a slap on the wrist, just like, hey, don't do that again. But also, we're not going to punish you for it because what would you know? Apartheid and all the rest of it. Look, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Either everyone can be racist or no one can be racist. And if we're going to have this two-tier justice system in South Africa, people need to expect that frustrations are going to keep growing. People are going to keep getting more and more angry, and eventually there's going to be someone that lashes out. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about all of this. If you like what I do, and you want more people to have access to the type of content I make, please consider hitting the like button, hitting that subscribe button, and leaving a comment because it really does help. Then a massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons and the channel members for all of your support. It really means the world to me. To become a YouTube member, just hit the link or just hit the button below this video that says join, or the link in the description down below to become a patron. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.